Today we are meeting the man who spent the last 4 years at the heart of the biggest event in the European Union's history, I think we can say, the former Brexit negotiator and, prior to that, French Foreign Minister as well as European Commissioner, M.Barnier. Thanks for being with us.
Yes, good morning.
What are you doing now that the roller coaster of Brexit negotiations has finished?
First of all, my mission isn't over. The agreement that we reached with Boris Johnson came late, extremely late, on Christmas Eve. I presented the agreement to EU ambassadors on Christmas Day, on December 25th. This did not give Parliament enough time to go through its usual ratification process. The European Parliament is only now taking the time to examine this treaty in order to give its approval. And the President of the Commission asked me to stay by her side for a few weeks as a special advisor during this process. So I'm staying in Brussels while the deal is being ratified.
You mentioned that the deal was reached very much at the last minute. Do you feel that you and your team were perhaps forced into accepting something somewhat less ambitious with the British because of what was effectively a British ultimatum of this deal or no deal?
That was the UK's decision. President von der Leyen and myself always said during negotiations that a no deal would be the UK's decision. Our door was always open to any proposals. Is the agreement less ambitious? Yes, for instance, the British did not want to make deals on foreign policy, defense, security, or cooperation with African countries. And that's something that I regret. I didn't understand why they refused to talk about these issues, but it will come later. There will be more ambitious discussions. But this deal is rather complete on issues of trade, zero tariffs, zero quotas with a level playing field, fair competition rules, transportation, energy, internal security, and fishing rights.
France's former Europe Minister Nathalie Loiseau was on this programme a couple of weeks ago. She hailed your work and that of your team, but she described this Brexit agreement as damage control and somewhat lose-lose. Would you agree?
I believe I was one of the very first to say that Brexit did not produce any added value. Nobody could ever explain the added value of Brexit, not even Mr. Farage. So I think Brexit is a lose-lose situation. It weakens both parties. The European Union keeps its common market, but loses this dynamic country that is the UK, with its strong foreign policy and major defense capacity. And the UK will now be isolated in the face of international competition. It's their choice, and I think it makes both sides weaker.
Well, speaking about trading goods, where there is a deal that's been reached, still scores of companies in the UK, in the European Union, have highlighted how much harder it is for them to do cross-channel business right now. Customs duties, paperwork. Some have stopped cross-channel business entirely. The UK ambassador to France told us on France 24, this is essentially temporary teething problems. Will these issues lessen in time, or are they built into the deal?
There will be temporary consequences as businesses get used to new formalities and constraints. Some will probably need a bit more time, depending on how well they prepared. We've been preparing European businesses, but were the same preparations made on the British side? Not necessarily. There will also be permanent consequences. Brexit means Brexit. The British decided to leave the common market, and so it's their choice to have all goods imported into or exported from the EU be subjected to controls. This is to protect consumers, to make sure budgets receive taxes as expected, and to protect businesses against counterfeiting, for instance. This is now an irreversible consequence of Brexit. All traded goods will be subject to controls, and many licenses won't be systematically delivered anymore, because the British wanted to leave the common market.
Many British people have seen, for example, a video of a British lorry driver who went into the Netherlands, and the Netherlands border control officers took his ham sandwiches away from him because of provisions in the Brexit deal. This kind of thing makes a lot of British people feel that they're being punished by the European Union.
There was never a spirit of revenge or punishment. But again, Brexit means Brexit. And as for food products, the sandwich is an easy example, but this also applies to animals, animal products, and plants. The fact that these products are now being checked for the safety of European consumers is the consequence of Brexit. It's not a consequence of the specific deal that I helped create. When you leave the common market, all products that come in have to be checked. It's about the safety of European consumers, no more, no less.
There's also quite a big row emerging in the UK about why touring artists and musicians are not allowed to move around the EU as freely as they were before. We've had Elton John, Liam Gallagher, Sir Simon Rattle among them criticising this situation. Now, the British government says that it made a sensible proposal to the European Union, but your offer was not acceptable to them. Does the European Union have a new offer to make to the UK?
You said as freely as...
You say as freely as before, but again, it was the UK's decision. I'm not going to keep debating this with the British government. We issued a proposal as early as March of last year for an ambitious partnership on the free movement of our citizens. And this was rejected in the name of British independence, of sovereignty, and of the country's new immigration policy, which clashed with this proposal. So, of course, there are consequences.
And just to understand specifically on the offer that you made in March, is it because the UK government did not want to accept equivalent access conditions for European musicians and artists?
We submitted a wide-ranging proposal on mobility. It was, of course, different from the point-based system the UK was looking to implement, letting it choose who was allowed into the country. We were looking at something a lot closer to what's being done today in the EU, which is called the free movement of people, and the British said no.
An issue that's come up in the last couple of days, the British government is not according João de Almeida, the European Union ambassador to the UK, the same status as national ambassadors. This is quite exceptional. Donald Trump did the same thing more or less, but was forced to reverse the move with the EU ambassador to the US. The British Foreign Office, though, says that the EU ambassador will get very similar privileges to national ambassadors. Should the European Union accept this, or is it insulting to the EU?
First of all, the US isn't in the same situation as the UK, which has left the European Union. And it seemed to me that in the name of maintaining good relations between our countries, it was possible to avoid this slightly offensive measure, which we do not understand. I hope that time and reflection will see the UK grant this ambassador status to the EU, of which it was a member for 47 years. I hope that reason will prevail, because this honestly isn't a good start for our future diplomatic relations.
Well, Boris Johnson himself, via his government, threatened to break international law just a few weeks ago. Do you trust Boris Johnson?
Trust must be earned. Regarding your question about the protocol on Ireland, I was personally struck by the UK's attempt to question the agreement's validity. Several former British prime ministers said it better than me. And we told the UK back then, be careful. If you want to build a long-term relationship based on trust, you must respect past agreements. In the end, that is what happened. Reason prevailed, and I'm glad it did. I have no reason to think that the UK won't respect this agreement.
And looking to the future, there's a lot of speculation at the moment about your future. Are you planning a run at the French presidency?
I plan to remain what I am, which is an active and invested politician. For as long as I have the energy, the enthusiasm, and the outrage, I will get involved in this country that requires unity, that needs all kinds of energies, and I will see with my friends where exactly I can be the most useful. But I can't say more just yet because as we speak, I'm still in Brussels to finish my mission with President von der Leyen.
Just thinking about you being useful to France, which is a phrase you've used before, some people here in France suggest that you have spent too much of your political career in Europe and not enough time in France.
Yes, but it's not fair. When you look at my background, which is extensive, I've spent a lot more time in French politics as president of a region, of a department, Savoy, where I had the opportunity to organize the Winter Olympics. I was minister 4 times, and I've spent a lot more time working in France than the 15 years I've spent in Brussels as commissioner or negotiator.
And just one final question. This spring, you're publishing a book, which will be called The Secret Diary of Brexit in English. Can you give us a preview at all of any of the secrets that you might want to reveal in that?
I never said that this book would be called Secret Diary. I don't know where that came from. We'll see about the title. What's important is the substance, and that's the personal description of this long negotiation process. The contacts I've had with the 4 successive negotiators I've faced, who I've always respected, and with the 2 prime ministers. These were negative negotiations in the end. I voted for the UK to join when I cast my very first vote at the age of 21. We had a referendum in France over the EU memberships of the UK, Ireland, Denmark, and Norway, and I campaigned for the yes votes. I've never regretted that vote. It's a paradox that I was the one to organize these negotiations, but I'm glad it all ended in an orderly way to allow Brexit to unfold in the best possible way for people and businesses. I will describe this negotiation process. I think it could be useful for those who think about the future.
M.Barnier, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Four.